So many thoughts flying through my mind about this gospel. The beauty of the Gospel of Luke is there's just so much richness, so much depth, and so many stories that are not in the other gospels. Like, for instance, today about the rich man and Lazarus. And there's so much that calls me out. This rich man from hell is asking Abraham, "Well, send Lazarus to my brothers." And he says, "You know what? They won't believe. They have Moses and the prophets. They won't believe." Yes, but if someone rises from the dead, even if someone rises from the dead, they won't believe. And we know this happens, right? Because Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead. Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead. And what is the reaction of those whose comfort is being questioned? It's not, "Wow, what an amazing thing. Someone is dead and now he's alive again after 4 days. He should have been stinking already." No, what's their reaction? Uh-oh, Jesus is getting more followers. We better kill Lazarus too. Which, is one of the most foolish things you could say. Because if you kill Lazarus, Jesus will just raise him again. Come on. But we look and we say, do we believe? Jesus is raised from the dead. And yet, so often, we don't believe. We don't believe by putting our lives where we're called to. This whole story is about, this poor man Lazarus and the rich man, and how the rich man goes to hell because he refuses to help. Not someone over in Ethiopia, not the starving children in India, but the person at his door. The person within his circle of influence. It says that Lazarus even would have eaten the scraps that fell from the table. What did they do with those scraps? Maybe they fed them to the dog, maybe they threw them out. I don't know. But they didn't give them to him. He didn't care about this man who was right there at his door. And we have to remember that eternal life is not an option. Eternal life is not a choice. Everyone is going to live forever. The choice is where? Where will we live forever? And our choices here make a difference. Jesus is showing this parable of the poor man and Lazarus, the rich man and Lazarus. Not that this rich man went out and killed people. Not that he was an awful man who slandered or took people for a ride. What was this man condemned for? For ignoring the need of the person in front of him. Ignoring the need of the person in front of him. I think about Mother Teresa and how she came to the United States and saw the poverty here. And she said the poor in Calcutta were much more materially poor than the poor here in the United States. But she said there was a much deeper poverty here in the United States because there was a poverty of loneliness. In the gutter in Calcutta, the poor stuck together. They had a camaraderie. They would help each other out. She spoke many times about having, brought bringing a cup of rice to someone who was in need, who came to their house and saying, "We're in need. Do you have anything?" He said, "Well, we have this rice. This is all we have." And so they gave them the cup of rice. And the first thing the person did was split that rice and give it to the person next door. That there was a camaraderie even amidst the impoverishment there. But here in the United States, there's all this isolation. We stay away from each other. We don't recognize the needs of the people around us. Sometimes we can be very poor and still have lots of money, lots of things. But we're in desperate need because we're impoverished for love. I think about, back 2 years ago in the midst of the lockdowns. Now, I'm by nature an introvert. I kind of like my alone time. I like being able just to hang out with myself in prayer or reading or whatever. And I at the very beginning when things locked down, as much as it was a sadness, a deep sadness for me that I wouldn't be able to celebrate Mass for the people of God or anything, it was just like, oh good, I don't have to be on all the time. But by the end of the lockdown, even I, who am an introvert, was starting to get like, I need to be with people. I need to be with people. I started thinking about all the people that, family members or others that I hadn't seen for years. And when I saw them, like for instance, in the fall at a wedding, it's like, I need to get to know you better. I've been away from people for too long. This was kind of weird. It was kind of freaky. I'd never experienced that before. We by nature need other people, even if we like our alone time, even if we're introverts and we get our energy from our alone time. We need other people. Even hermits are not alone 100% of the time. We need other people. And if we can open our eyes to see the poverty, that someone is in need of a friend. I remember when I was younger, which is every day before today, right? Because we're all younger before today. When I was younger, when my grandfather, after my grandmother died and he eventually got into a nursing home, I remember going to visit him. And my grandfather had so many visitors. He had 10 kids, and most of them went and visited him at least once a week. Many of my cousins would go once a month. So he had people coming in and out all the time, and he was a social butterfly, which I'd never seen when he was living at home. But now that he was in the nursing home, he was going place to place. Everyone knew him. Everyone knew him. But then you'd see some other people next door, in the next room over, down the hall, who never had anyone. Their children lived 20 minutes away and never visited. The agony of that loneliness that they experienced. Do we recognize the poverty of the people around us? Ignoring it affects our eternity. May we recognize those who are impoverished, whether materially or impoverished for love, those around us who are in need. And may we reach out. May we reach out with love. Mother Teresa had that 5-fingered prayer, right? You did it to me. You did it to me. And may we reach out, recognizing the need of Christ in each person around us.